Hello, Facebook family. It's me, Jurema. I am just keying in before we have our conversation with our guest author this afternoon, which is Mr. Raymond Smith. So I look forward to him chiming in. So I'm just here waiting on people to chime in and join the conversation. Before he gets on, let me just kind of share a little bit about my organization. So for those who listen to this video and want to learn more about what we do, you can learn more about what Burst Into Books is. There he is. So we're going to get the conversation started. But before I add Raymond Smith, I just want to share that Burst Into Books is a literacy organization that is geared towards children 6 months to 13-year-old. We host online workshops, book clubs, family events. We also do writing workshops, which will be starting in the summer. And then one of our online series is called From the Front Row. And the Front Row is a series that I started that I really wanted to give people an opportunity to meet people who are in the field. When we think about the front row of a classroom, it is the most attentive or the most attentive part of the classroom. If you're in the front row, you're really listening to what the teacher is saying. You're really trying to figure out what they're talking about. And so I named this series From the Front Row because I really want you to listen in to the conversation that I have with each of the authors. Each month, I have a different author that I'll be interviewing. And today is the note. Hey, Cherise. And today I will be interviewing Raymond Smith, who is the author of the amazing Righteous Ray book series. So he is already keying in. I'm going to add him to the conversation and we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's try this again. So let's see. Thank you so much, Cherise. I really appreciate that. My hope is that we just do amazing work when it comes to our Burst Into Books workshop. So I'm really excited about the great things that God is doing. You will hear more programming coming up. And I can't wait to see you and Soraya at some of the events, girl. Y'all got to get involved. All right, so I see that he is back on. Let me go ahead and invite him to the conversation. All right, I just invited you to the conversation, Ray. So as soon as you accept, we will go ahead and get started. Boom, 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 boom. I know, girl. It's been really cool. Our book club series has started last month. We have one in 2 weeks. So hopefully you all are able to be a part of that. Right, it's not allowing me to add you in. What's going on? Let's see. Let's try this again. Let's see. Okay, I see you're back on. Let's see if it works now. He's now my only viewer. Allow you to add. So let's try it this way, Ray. If at the bottom, should I try on your phone? Yes, you should definitely be on your phone. I think the phone is the best way for you to be able to add it into the conversation. And you should be able to see at the bottom I can add you in. So I'm just going to continue to talk. So as far as our programming for this upcoming month, our book clubs for November are actually going to be still at Butler College Prep. We have some amazing things that are going to be added in to that book club session. We have a librarian who's coming out who's going to be doing on-site library cards, and also we have some amazing authors that'll be at each book club meeting. So if you want to be a part of a book club, please reach out to me. Let's try to add you to the conversation now. Are you on your phone now? We're going to work this out. I promise. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a great conversation. I'm just so excited. It's going to be a great, great combo. Let's see. Now it's working. To the conversation. Just a little patience, you all. Hey. Hello.
I thought the computer would have been better though.
Okay. Cool. All right. We're all keyed in now. So how are you doing today?
I'm good. Just up and been busy all morning.
Really.
Um, yeah, been looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is gonna be a great time. So I have some questions that I have for you. I also today was reading through some of your books with my son, and so he actually gave me some questions to ask you as well. So it'll be all a part of
Okay.
the conversation. So to get started, the first question that we'll start with is just simply share us about yourself. Like, who are you? Tell us your story. How did you, get to where you are? So just tell us about your background.
Okay. I'm Raymond Smith. Uh, I've always been involved with teaching. I'm the oldest of four. So
Okay.
when they would come home, when we would get home from school, I would help them with their homework, and it just kind of parlayed into me becoming a teacher and me just getting really involved in the process of reading. It used to hurt my heart when I first started teaching, and the students didn't know how to read
Mm.
because I didn't I didn't realize that students would come to high school not knowing how to read. So I started off as a freshman English teacher,
Okay.
and so I just remember the one day when I realized that the students were in my class that couldn't read, and I always wanted to do something about it. And I started to think about why is it that they're making it to high school and not know how to read? And one thing that dawned on me was that they may not see themselves in the books they're reading. There
Mm.
aren't a lot of books with characters of color. So I just wanted to make something that targets that age group so that they will be more likely to like reading.
Got you. So that kind of leads me to the next one. So does that like drive the topics that you have in your books? I think it's important. And yes, you can have books of color, but also the topics that are discussed in the book. So what leads you to have like you write about the story that you write about?
Well, one is something that I a lot of things that I saw growing up and the children around me when I was growing up. And two, like I still am connected to the classroom, so I know a lot about what the children are dealing with, and it's pretty much the same things, but just showing them how to deal with it. So I try to take an issue that I see in the community or in the world and try to find something, find my experience with it in my childhood, and then write a story about it.
Got you. So a lot of the themes and messages are just their personal experiences along with things you see from being in the classroom.
Right.
Right.
Or just things that I see from being in the world. Like the first book was started just it's called Righteous Rere Has a Bad Day, and it was just about it's just a lot of people that look at the days negative. They're looking at what's not happening instead of what is happening
Mm-hmm.
and what they do have. So I think that that book was just about changing your mindset to focus on the positive things and what you do have instead of what's not happening or what you don't have.
Cool. And I actually wanted to hint to that book. So this is the book that he's talking about. Righteous Ray Ray Has a Bad Day. And this is actually the book that me and my son read earlier today. So the question he wanted me to ask you was all of it true? Like, did you get caught trying to write a letter to one of the girls in the classroom and it became read to the whole class from all that. He's like, I wonder if that really happened to him. So was that a true, like, was all the instances in that story
No,
true thing?
it's based on a true story, but I didn't get caught. I
You
had
didn't
gave a note to my friend to give to a girl, and she
okay.
just threw it in the garbage. He told me
Oh,
she threw it in the garbage. And I was like,
he
oh,
didn't
she
even do
threw it in the garbage.
yes or no, huh?
But no, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't even. I guess that I got the note. She
Right,
threw it in the garbage.
right. Uh,
But that's what happened to me. So I did write a letter. I didn't get caught writing it though.
got you. It had a different outcome. It would have been
Yeah,
a shorter story then, huh? If we just went with the
yeah, exactly. And I did. I had a teacher that wouldn't let me use the bathroom, so I used the bathroom on myself. But in the story, I had him fall in mud.
right, right, right. I got you, got you, got you. So let me ask you this. So I know you said you are a teacher, and a lot of it is like from what you saw with your students, and even growing up with your own siblings. But how difficult has it been becoming an author? Like, even though you say, "Hey, I want to write stories for children of color," like what was the process? Like, what made you like, okay, I'm gonna write this book, and then how has it been like trying to get it published and all of those great things?
It's not really hard. You just have to be patient and work. Like one thing that I started doing was I would block out an hour a day working on something with Righteous Rary, whether it was writing a story, what I wanted the website to look like. I just spend an hour each day writing something or working on something. So just disciplining yourself to do it. I remember when 2012 was rolling around and I had got about, I think, my seventh rejection because I had been sending the book off. I just thought that you send off a book idea and a company accepts it. I
Mm-hmm.
never thought that I could publish myself.
Got
So after the seventh, because and a lot of them weren't rejections, they would send back, can you change this and then send it back to me? Can you send some ideas for pictures and send it back to me? We would rather the story sound like this. Can you write it like this?
mm,
And I just started realizing that the companies would take away the essence of what my story was,
yeah.
and I wasn't going to compromise that. So then I started looking at avenues of how to publish on my own, and I just bumped into the right people. Prayer is powerful,
Yeah.
and and when you take steps towards your goals, things happen for you. So, and I'm just an example of that because it's nothing really special that I do other than when I say I do something, I make sure I do it, and I'm disciplining myself to work towards my goals every day.
Got you. So I love that story. So just thinking about, you say you're disciplined and making sure that you write and that you're consistent in it. How long would it? How long does it roughly take you to write a book? Like, I know the books that we have here, which I'll show at the end. Some are chapter books, others are shorter. So what would you say on average is the amount of time it took you to write, your book series?
Well, it depends on how exciting the story is going for me. Um, I think the first one it took me a day. Like the first Righteous Rary Has a Bad Day was written in Hirsch's school library. When I graduated from college, I graduated in December, so I was in the middle of the school year, and I didn't want to take a full-time job in the middle of the school year because those are really like the crazy classrooms when it's
Exactly.
opening at that point. So I just decided to sub at a school near my house, and Hirsch was near my house. So one day when I showed up, the clerk was like, "Oh, I should have called you and told you don't come because the teacher you were subbing for showed up." She was like, "But since you're here, I'm gonna pay you. You just can't leave the building till 3 o'clock." So I was sitting there, and I went to the library and I read the newspapers. I read the Sun Times and the Tribune. I read the magazines that was in the library, and then it was still like 9:52. So I was like, "What I'm gonna do till 3 o'clock?" And so then I just started. I was like, I should write that book story that I had in my head. And
Yeah.
I just spent the rest of the day and I wrote down the story. So that was that one. That one took a day. But the
Okay.
other ones I would say it takes about a week. Cause a lot of things go into writing that I didn't know about. Like you need to have your characters developed before you write the story so
Mm-hmm.
that you aren't changing too much as the story happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that going in. So that's something that I started to work at too. Like you got to work on developing your characters before the story so that you know exactly how you want them to look, how you want them to act, how you want them to speak. All of that goes into creating your characters.
Got you. What would you say is your hopes going forward? Like, do you just continue? You want to just continue writing further books? Like, what do you feel like is the next step for your Righteous Ray Ray series and your career overall?
Well, the overarching goal, like you know how you read all these things and see all these things, and they say set a goal that would just blow your mind if it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like Righteous Rare to become a Saturday morning cartoon,
That would be
and
dope.
so I'm kind of doing. So that's the big goal.
Yeah.
But right now I'm working on after school program using the books just for the children that like to read. Cause I don't, working in the school, we always are doing things for the at-risk students. We're
Mm-hmm.
doing things for the students that can't read, and it's all these interventions for stuff they can't do. But it's nothing for the students that can read,
Hmm.
except for there are gifted programs and stuff for the advanced students, but it's nothing just for kids that like to read. So that's something I want to attack in the Chicago area.
That's cool. That's where we should connect. That's how we have to work together, even with my organization. So, have you started
Okay.
to like this kind of series like at your own schools? I know you say you work in a school. Have you tried to do like an after school program there already?
Yeah, just not with the books. I really wanted to make a nice proposal. So I'm working on what the curriculum will look like for 10 weeks, and I'm kind of finalizing that now. And then the next step is getting feedback from all of my teacher friends that I know, and then going and shopping around to see how I can get it into the schools.
Very
But I definitely unofficially practice it just when I can
at your
at the school. Yeah.
school. So, kind of going still with the line of like writing and influences and what you want to do. What would you say, or who would you say, are some writers and authors that have impacted your writing or impacted you as wanting to aspire to be like them? Like, who are some of your favorite authors?
Mm, I don't really have a favorite author. I know that's probably bad to say, because I like reading all kind of things.
Okay.
I just what really inspired me was I remember going into my library at my elementary school, and they had a bunch of Curious George books, and they had different episodes of Curious George books. But other than that, I never really had a children's book that I could relate to. Like I don't even remember any children's books other than Curious George
Mm.
or Harry the Dirty Dog. That's one that I remember
What was the
too.
name of it?
But Harry the Dirty Dog.
Wow, I've never heard of that.
Um, but I never really had a book that I could relate to, so I'm just kind of looking at it like I want to be the author that I never encountered.
Mm.
As far as children's. Now there are definitely some writers that I enjoy reading, but I just I just read different books that I feel like can enrich my life. So I don't have one specific author that I go to for that.
Gotcha. The next question I would ask is just connected to really the mission of my organization, Births into Books. And so the whole premise is that we're trying to expose children to see, like, man, reading is amazing. Reading is dope. It teaches you lessons. Like you said, there are more books of color, so they're starting to see books, and we try to incorporate all books of color at our book club meeting. So there are books that represent
Hmm.
you in these stories. But also ultimately when you read, you learn lessons, right? When you read, you're able to see the world in a bigger view. I think one of the biggest things for
Yeah.
me as a well is that from the South Side, a lot of our kids are just kind of pigeonholed on the South Side. I have kids who don't even travel downtown or travel on the West Side or travel, on the sub.
Hmm.
All they know is their neighborhood. And so reading, I believe,
Right.
allows you to see the bigger view of what the world is. So I just wanted to know, like, what are some ways that reading has impacted you or helped you in making like life choices or helped you when it comes to like understanding the world?
That's a really good question. Um, I have a couple of ways I would like to attack that. The
Okay.
first is that the whole like the motto of the Righteous Rare children's book series is from reading to believing, and I just how that came about was I could think back to being in third grade and finishing my schoolwork early, and my teacher would always tell me to go back and get a book. And she had all these autobiographies. So I just remember reading the books every day just about different people. And that's where when I really started to think about what I could do with my life, just being inspired off theirs. Like I remember reading about John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King and thinking like, man, like it's such a it just made me start realizing that my community is just a small part of the world. Like it's this whole world outside that we with different people that talk a certain way. Cause when I was growing up, I didn't encounter a lot of white people. So just like it just made you think, where do these people live at?
Yeah.
What does their community look like? And that's when I just started to believe that I could probably have a life like this too, that people write about my life in books. And I just never looked back from there. And also, I just take a lot of little tidbits from the books I read. Like it's always something to learn to me. Like I could remember reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he said when we would go to rob houses, we wouldn't target the houses with lights on. So to this day, when I leave out of my house, like I make sure a light is on.
Oh wow, yeah.
Just from a book, yeah. So just a lot of little lessons like that that I always remember and I share with the people around me.
Very cool. Well, I would like to say I am so appreciative of you just taking some time out on your Saturday to talk to me and just talk to our audience. And I'm going to be sharing this on our page. And I just want to encourage you to continue to do the work that you're doing. Like I said earlier, we went through, like my son has his own bookshelf. And so we looked and we were like, man, we have 4 of his books. And he's like, I remember meeting him. And so I just want you to know that you are making an impression. You are encouraging people and continue doing the great work. And I just wanted you to take this time to be able to share, like, how can people get in contact with you if they want to get your books? How can they ask you to come to their schools? And just like, what's the best way to, get in contact with you to learn more about you?
There are a few ways you can get in contact with me. You can contact me on my website. That's www.righteousrayray.com. Check your spellings of righteous. I always see people think twice. Even I have to think twice when I'm spelling the word righteous. But it's RIGHTEOUS, RAYRAY.com. I have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter pages. I'm mainly on Instagram and I do a little I'm trying to be better on Facebook and Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
but you can probably reach me on those too. And my email is rsmith@righteousrayray.com.
Cool. And we're going to, on our site, publicize. I don't offhand remember, but you are coming to one of our book club meetings. And so I definitely want to make sure that people know the day that you're coming so that they want to come on that day as well. They get to meet you in person. But I just want to say thank you so much, Raymond Smith, for taking time on our show to just tell us a little bit more about yourself and your writings. And I hope you have an amazing Saturday.
I will. Thanks for having me.
All right.
And hi to everybody watching.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.